Greetings all, Shane Bruce, Restomod Daisy, with a hail and farewell to a Daisy number 111 Model 40 that rolled in here, or rolled onto the bench, about 2 weeks ago. And she was a rusty rust bucket when we started. The gun showed up without a bottle cap, and also had a nice example of a cork stuffed into the bore here about this point. So I got a feeling at some point in time the gun's passed, the parents of the owner, or the operator anyway, got dissatisfied with his behavior and took his shot tube away from him and then stuffed a cork in it to make sure that he wasn't making a dirt clawed gun out of it. Not the first time I've seen that, but not a very common occurrence. Now, when this gun first came in, let's go down here and take a look at the receiver. See all of that pitting. All of that pitting is a result of the never-ending work of rust. And pits in metal can only be removed by adding metal to metal. And on thin wall sheet metal, like they built these guns out of, that just isn't doable. But we did get it to where you could read the roll stamp. You can see that it is, in fact, a Daisy Red Ryder carbine of the appropriate vintage for this particular gun. Now, the owner that sent it in, sent it with stock wood. This is what the old buttstock looked like. This is a new product for us. We have an extended trigger spring now to combat some of the issues with older guns and trigger springs. Not the world's most exciting piece of wood, but hey, it did its function. The owner wanted a fat bob stock, and that is what this style is called. You'll notice that it's not a plank stock like a Slim Jim. It's inletted at the receiver. It has a bit of a wood cover over the top to flow with the lines. Same extended wrist that all Restomods because I think you need a lot of room on a wrist. And there's no recoil in these weapons, so we're not talking about mitigating shock. This has got a rollover cheek piece, a quasi cheek piece with a quasi rollover. It's glued up stock, so there's a seam down the center of the stock. And it's incumbent on the smith who's making the stock to try and get his bookmarks or book matching lined up as best you can. It is possible to do. It's not always very precise, but end result is not bad. Stock's got a fair amount of curl. Also chunks up the gun by a couple of pounds of weight, not to mention making it more adult in size. Let's take a look at the forearm real quick, because here you can see the difference. This blank was cut from the same piece of wood. So on that one little chunk of wood, you've got a section of it that ran very tight, and then a section that didn't run so tight. You can see the amount of curl to the inch on this side is markedly different from that side. So we're going to call this side of the gun is the mother-in-law side, because it isn't as flashy, even though down here on the butt there's a lot of figure in the Chateaubriand that will dance in the wood. You can only see that, as the gun changes its reflection index with a light source. In full sun, it's quite striking. So this is the mother-in-law side. This is the girlfriend side. Yeah, it looks a little better. A little bit tighter curl on the wood. Receiver is not as bad as the mother-in-law side. Still pitted, but not as bad. And the buttstock, does its job there. Now, curiously enough, this gun came in and it performed better with its original factory mainspring than a Cobalt 327. It was a copper wash mainspring, was in great shape, wasn't sacked. Plunger didn't show any signs of stropping, so for however long it was shot before it was disabled, it seemed to have been fairly well taken care of. Out of the box with factory seals, factory air tube, it was running about 250 or so feet a second for almost 6 shots before the compression seal grenaded, and I had to rebuild the interior. Currently, with the 125 shot tube installed, it's running about 323, 324, right on the cusp of being a solid thumper. With this OEM bottle cap I had in the stock, once I got it in the gun, it was running pretty quick, around 310, and that's pretty damn good for an old gun with an old shot tube. Well, she's ready to go home. Got to do a little bit more shooting with it, a little more fine-tuning, a little bit more polishing, a little bit more passing it around, imbuing it with the sense of, hey, you got built at Restomod, and hey, now you're going home to Fort Home to join your collection. And hopefully your owner will enjoy shooting you as much as I've enjoyed shooting it while it's here. That's all we've got for you today, kids. This is Restomod Daisy, signing off.